Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Excited to be here with you today. Today, we're gonna talk about. We're gonna start talking about the upcoming baseball season, and today we're gonna preview the AL East, arguably one of the toughest divisions in the major leagues. Happy Monday! Yes, happy Monday. Welcome, Josie. Thank you. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. If you're here, make sure to hit that thumbs up button for me. I greatly appreciate it. I'm going to start over the next couple weeks doing baseball previews, including some tips for fantasy. So I'll probably do like fantasy for beginners, and then I'll give like some tips and stuff like that. I've done, I'm not like an expert or anything like these people on ESPN or MLB Network and stuff, but I do play pretty well, and I'll give some tips on that. But we are here today for the AL East. Hope everyone's doing well today. And we're going to start with the defending AL champs, the Blue Jays. They really surprised a lot of people and did well. All right, technical difficulties there. And they made it all the way to the seventh game of the World Series. And how many time champs? Five-time Yahoo champ, one-time CBS Sports champ, and this old league that doesn't exist anymore, Small World. I think I won like that 2 or 3 times. I haven't played too much else either. I played one season ESPN. I really didn't enjoy it, but I should probably do it again to try to, see how it goes. And yeah. Excuse me, struggling today. Agua. Okay, so the Blue Jays are the defending AL champs. They took the Dodgers to Game 7, which is crazy. They had a lot of issues coming in. I know their bullpen failed them a lot. They also were losing some free agents. So they're probably the favorites with the Yankees too. I mean, I never doubt the Yankees. They're kind of like the Chiefs in football, or the Yankees of the 90s even, or the Patriots and Brady and Belichick was there. I expect them to win their division until I see that they don't. I try not to doubt those teams. So I know the Blue Jays are defending, but, the Yankees, which we'll get to in a moment, are always on top to win. So, but with the Blue Jays, they did lose some people. They lost Bo Bichette to the Mets. So that's a big hole for them. They're going to shift Jimenez over to shortstop, and so then they'll have Kirk catcher, Vladdy at first. They'll have Jimenez at short, Clement at second, and they signed one of those Japanese stars, Akamoto. He'll play third. Then they'll have Springer be the DH. Barger will be right field, Varsho center, and maybe Sanchez. They just made a trade for Sanchez from the Astros, who used to be on the Marlins. He has a lot of power, but hasn't really produced that much in the majors. A lot of strikeout, but they have him. Then the rotation, they brought in Cease. I don't really like Dylan Cease. I thought they gave him a lot of money. He has high strikeout stuff, but sometimes with high strikeout guys, they just throw like 5 innings, but whatever, they gave it to him. And it looks like they needed, and it was a good move in the sense of Bieber is going to start the season on the IL and have a slow ramp up. He has elbow or shoulder discomfort, one of those two. And then Francis is out for the year. So right there. And then obviously that means Barrios will go in the rotation, but he hasn't been as good. And then you have Gosman in his last year, and Savage. We'll see if Savage can step up. He came up late in the year in the playoffs, big-time prospect. And their closer is going to be Hoffman again. I feel like that's one thing. They do have starting pitching depth, which they need. They just got they're one of the teams right off the bat that got hammered with injuries right away. I also think Springer is going to regress. But I do feel Vlad will have a better season because he had a more he didn't have as big of regular season, but he went off in the postseason and carried them. Like, he still had an okay season, but not as good as he can have. He's got his contract behind him and all that stuff. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I feel they should have done more for the bullpen. It was an issue. They brought in Rogers from the Mets and the Giants. He's pretty good, but they didn't get a closer. I don't know if they ran on Diaz, but I don't blame Diaz. I'd go to the Dodgers too. More money and a better chance to win. And that's pretty much it about the Blue Jays. We'll probably move on to the Yankees now. In my opinion, the other favorite. You want to take a drink again? This winter's terrible. I feel like I'm clearing my throat all the time. I'm just over the winter. So the Yankees, they made it to the playoffs. They got bounced in the playoffs. But the Yankees are always in it. That's what they try to do. They don't spend like they used to. I mean, they're still one of the top payrolls, but they used to be the number one payroll by like a lot in the 90s. And the reason the Yankees did really well is they had a bunch of young prospects that they had on, like Bernie and Jeter and Posada and Pettit and Mariano. And then on top of that, you could bring in the free agents. But the one thing with the Yankees, they didn't really do too much. They're pretty much just running it back. The only thing I feel they really did different was obviously Devin Williams is gone, which is probably addition by subtraction. And then they made a trade for Weathers, the starting pitcher from the Marlins, who has really good stuff. I think he's on his third or fourth team, though, because he always gets hurt. But they did need that. I don't love their offense, though. Obviously, they have Aaron Judge, who is otherworldly and arguably the best player in baseball. You have Ohtani, too, but, I mean, Judge is a beast. And I as a Met fan, I don't know why the Mets didn't go after him when he was a free agent and just blow him. I'd rather have him than Soto or Lindor or these other guys that they brought in for big money. But whatever. It's neither here nor there. Obviously, Judge is a beast. They brought back Bellinger, who's an okay player, and it was smart for him to go back to the Yankees because he's just made for Yankee Stadium. So they have him. And they did give the qualifying offer to Grisham. I wouldn't have done that. He had an amazing season. I feel he's going to regress. I just think someone like that, he's just going to regress. You know, like he had a career year. It's only 1 year, and I think they already were kind of crowded in the outfield, but he can play center, which is important. And then, one of the big keys they have to do is, I'm sure, like I said, I think Gresham will regress. Judge is a beast. I expect him to be the same. I feel Jazz and Bellinger will produce probably around the same stuff that they did before. Hopefully, Bellinger takes a little bit more step closer to the MVP level. I think he had 20, 29 home runs. Maybe he get 35. Full season in New York. He's his second full season in New York. He's more comfortable now. He's got his contract. He probably can has his what am I thinking? Got his home. Maybe last year he just like lived in a hotel or apartment, who knows, or rented a house. Now he probably has his own. But one big key is McMahon. I know he's good defensively, but he needs to set up. He didn't hit at all coming over to the Yankees, and I feel he can't get any worse. So, and then you're going to have Stanton. Stanton's always a question mark for injuries. He only has 2 years left in his deal. So, but the one thing he does and produces in the playoffs. Speaking of that, Judge finally produced in the playoffs. He didn't hit like a ton of home runs, but I think he hit like 400 or 500. He was doing really well, but they got bounced. They didn't make it too far. And then in the rotation, obviously they have Fried. And they have Schlittler and Gill and Weathers, and they're going to get and they have Cole and Rodon, and they have Blackburn and Warren. So right now their injuries are Cole, who might be back midseason. Rodon will be back in May, I believe they said. And Volpe is hurt, so they're going to play what's that guy's name? I forget his name, but he came from Tampa. Kind of Marrow or something like that. He's going to be playing short, which Yankee fans probably be happy they destroyed Volpe. But I mean, sometimes these prospects don't work out. And I'm always fine. I'm not a prospect hugger, but to me, if you're going to give up prospects, good high prospects, save it for something important. Like I'm going to jump back on the Mets because I always complain. So David Stearns has traded a ton of prospects since the last trade deadline, which is fine. But to me, in a year or two, Paul Skeens is going to be available, and you're draining your minor leagues. That would be a guy where I'm like, all right, you want my top 3 prospects? Take it, and then sign them, whatever. But that's for a different story. I might have to do, when I do the NL East, the whole live will be on the Mets because I just won't be able to stop my craziness. But and then the Yankees, they have Bednar in the closer. They lost Williams, but they have Doval and Cruz. I was surprised by the Bednar trade. I didn't think it was going to be that good, and he actually pitched really, really well. Doval, I don't like. I'm not a huge fan of him, and I feel he's regressing. Like he had an elite season, and he's been getting worse and worse and worse. But maybe coming over midseason, now he's there a full season, and he'll be more comfortable. But I do think the Yankees should have done something with the third. Another one that should have went after Diaz. I don't know if they did. I don't know if they don't. I know their owner is talking about, the payroll can't go too high, so I don't know. But because that was when the Yankees won in the 90s, and then they won in 09, I think it was. They had a great team, but they had an elite bullpen, and they don't have an elite bullpen now. I mean, obviously they could add, and Bednar is good. And he turned it around because he was really bad in Pittsburgh. So, but overall, I feel the Yankees are my favorite. We'll see if the Blue Jays can sustain it. There's other teams there that did have done a lot and could change things up. And like I said, the Yankees are kind of running it back. They don't really improve. The only thing I will say is they did improve their starting rotation because they're going to get Cole back. And they traded for Weathers if they could keep him healthy. So if you could go Fried, Cole, Schlittler, Rodon, and then your 5 is Weathers, or that could be Gill. Gill's another one that's been that's elite. They do have Jazz and Judge is all worldly, Bellinger, and we'll see if Wells and Rice can take the next step. Guys like that. I think Dominguez is going to start in the minor leagues. The guy can't play defense, and they're just so log jammed. That's why they probably should have. I don't know if they would have, and I'm just playing from here, but. What I would have done is the Yankees were looking for a shortstop. I would have called them and been like, I will give you Lindor and I'll take back Stanton, and you give me like Volpe and maybe like one of your pitchers, whether it's Gill or I don't think they would trade Schlittler, but that's what I would have done. And I would have done that if I was the Yankees, but whatever. They kept him. I don't know if anybody didn't want him, but I'm just saying so. And then third, we have the Red Sox. The Red Sox made a ton of changes this offseason. They have Navarez and more water. Navarez at catcher. They traded for Contreras from the Cardinals to play first base. I don't know who they're going to put at second. They could have a Meyer or Meyer, whatever his name is, which I hope he does well because I have a card of his. So if he does well, that will go up in price. So let's see. I mean, he's a young player. There we go. A little technical difficulties today. So I don't know if he's going to play there. Trevor Story is going to be the shortstop. He had a bounce back year last year, but he's getting older. Don't see him duplicating that. I see him regressing. You have Abreu in the outfield. I heard they want to play more of him. And Duran, I was reading here, they might be a platoon or a DH, but they have Yoshida at DH. And then Rafaela in center, and then Anthony in the third, obviously Roman Anthony, that's huge. Their starting pitching, I feel they have a great starting rotation. Like between them and the Yankees, they definitely have the best. And it's kind of tough to tell. I mean, Crochet is ridiculous. I don't know why 2 years ago the Mets didn't trade for him and said they traded for Peralta this year. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they wanted what prospects they wanted, but the Red Sox traded for him, and he stepped up and was elite. He's one of the probably top 5 pitchers in the game. So he's an ace, but I call him an elite ace. Like he's just one of, it's like him, Skeens, Schoolbull, stuff like that. And then they signed Ranger Suarez, who used to be at the Phillies. He's a pretty good pitcher, but he's injury prone. But when he gets to the postseason, he's one of the best postseason pitchers in the amount of starts he did. So they just got to basically manage his innings and get him to the postseason if they can make it. And that's a great 1-2 punch. And then with that trade, it makes Bello, who's one of their top prospects, drop him down from being so before the Crochet trade, he was going to be the number 1. Then they got Crochet, he was 2. Now he's a 3 underneath Suarez. And then they traded for Sonny Gray. I'm not really a fan of Sonny Gray. I mean, he pitched really well in Oakland. Then he went to the Yankees. And I get it. I don't like New York either. Maybe that's what it was. He didn't like New York. Then he went, I forget where he went after that. Did he go to the Blue Jays? I know he was on the Cardinals, and they got the Red Sox got him from the Cardinals. We'll see. He pitched pretty well in the Cardinals. We'll see how he does, but he's not a 1 or a 2 or even a 3. He's going to be the number 4 starter. And then the number 5, they traded for Oviedo from the Pirates. He's got really good stuff. Yeah, up and down season with them. They have other guys like they're Tolley and Early. They're prospects, but it'd probably be better to put them in the minor leagues and just have depth. And they also have Sandoval, who they signed to a 2-year deal last offseason because he was recovering from Tommy John. So they have depth. There's I don't know of any injuries they really have going into the season, except for Sandoval. I don't know if he's going to be ready for the season, but I think he would. But I actually like their rotation. I don't know if I want to lean they're better than the Yankees rotation because I think Crochet is the best out of all the pitchers. And then I would say the second one is probably Fried. Cole is a beast, but he's coming off Tommy John. And some guys come back from Tommy John and pitch well, and there's no issue. Some don't. I remember with the Mets, Jeremy's Familia, he was really good. And then after Tommy John, he was terrible. They wound up letting him go. He went somewhere else. He was terrible. They brought him back, and he was even worse. And some guys like I remember with the Mets, Matt Harvey came back, and he was still as good as he was before. So you never know. Guys like Justin Verlander, he had Tommy John surgery, came back and was fine. Tarek Schoolbull had it and came back, was even better. So we'll see where he is with that. But the Red Sox made a ton of big changes. They want to try to get back up to the top and battle the Yankees. So like I said, this is going to be a really, really good division. If you're a baseball fan, you know that. Excuse me. And the Devers trade, though, I want to talk about that. They wound up trading Devers because of Bregman, and then Bregman wound up opting out and leaving, and now you got rid of Devers. And they traded most of those prospects they got for the Devers deal. They just traded Harrington to – that's who it is. I was wrong before. I just saw that. Okay, so Dubon is going to play third base. They just got him from the Brewers from Harrison, who they got from the Giants in the Devers trade, who's supposed to be a big prospect. So I'm surprised they gave up on him, but sometimes you got to give to get, and they have pitching depth. So Dubon's going to play third, but yeah, they basically traded away. There was another guy too they already traded away too, maybe to the Cardinals. I think I read that they have one more of the prospects, a lower level pitcher. So that trade's pretty much, to me, seems more like a salary dump than anything. And I know he wasn't a good third baseman, and they moved him to first, and he didn't want to do that, but he's a great hitter. But who knows why people do what they do. Let's see. So I feel you got to see if Anthony will take that next step. Everyone's thought he was the number 1 prospect in baseball. He came up, played well. He didn't go nuts, but he played well, and then he got hurt. We'll see if he's recovered and can take that next step into superstardom, because I feel they need that. That's the one thing with them. I don't love their lineup. I mean, they have some pop and stuff like that, but I don't love it. I'd have to really think. I'll probably say I probably like the Orioles lineup the best. We're getting to that next. But yeah, I will definitely say that I do not love their lineup. And then, their closer is Aroldis Chapman. He had a comeback, bounce back season like crazy last year. He was lights out. I think he's going to regress a little bit this year, but we'll see. But he was elite last year. And one thing they do have the starting pitching depth, which is good. So maybe later on, if they're in it in the trade deadline, they could trade one to get a hitter. Because I do feel like they're hitter shy. Like some of their big players, like Duran, he only had 16 home runs last year. Their catcher hit like 15, which is pretty good from catcher. Contreras only hit 20 from first base. I think Story hit like 25, Abreu 22. So they don't have like that superstar. So that's why they're waiting for Anthony to step up and see if he could take that next step. Okay, what are we on? Fourth team now, the Baltimore Orioles. I'm going to be rooting for them a little bit because I'm cynical of Pete Alonso went there and the Mets made a mistake. I don't care what anybody says. I'm sick of hearing about like, they didn't win with those players. Okay, they didn't win with a lot of players. Lindor hasn't won anything. Should they have traded him? I would have, because if you were going to get rid of Nimmo and McNeil and Diaz and Pete, get rid of him too and just start fresh with Soto as the centerpiece, but whatever. So with the Orioles, they have Rushman at catcher. They have Big Pete at first base, which was a huge signing. I think that was one of the best signings in free agency, in my opinion. Then they have Holiday at second base. I think it's going to be Westberg at third, Gunnar Henderson at short, Warden left, Cowser in center, and O'Neill in right. And that rookie catcher Bastillo, I think they're going to DH him, rotate him and Rushman, I believe is what I read so far. And then this, so the thing is with that lineup, I think that's the best lineup, but what Rushman are you going to get? Are you going to get his rookie year where he had patience, was walking a lot, hit for power? Last year he regressed tremendously, and I know it's tough to play catcher in the major leagues, but he did regress. Which one of him are you going to get, and which Gunnar are you going to get? Because last year Gunnar had a down year, and 2 years ago he exploded. So I know those are question marks, but I feel everybody has question marks. But I do like their lineup the best. But it will depend what they get out of those guys. And then again, I feel the Pete Alonso signing was amazing. They needed that because they had a lot of young players, and he's a veteran that's going to come in there and hit 35 plus home runs, driving 100 runs. And that's a better hitter's park than Citi Field. So his numbers might even go up. We'll see how he reacts. The one thing I love to Pete is he plays every day, and the big moments don't bother him, whether it's the playoffs. He hit that monster home run a couple years ago off Williams, and he obviously played in New York. And then the starting pitching, they have Bradish, they have Rogers. They traded for Boz. They brought in what's that guy's name that used to be on the Mets? Man, I just forgot his name. Bassett. Didn't they just bring in Bassett? I think they just brought in Bassett. They have Eflin and they have Kramer. So they have a little depth, but no number one starter. But Rogers did come back from the minors and he pitched like a number one. We'll see if he could do it again because that trade was blown up in their face because Stowers is killing it for the Marlins. And Bradish coming off injury, but he's pretty good. So they got Bradish, Rogers, Boz. They made the big trade. Is it going to work? I don't know. He's an elite prospect that kept getting hurt. He finally stayed healthy last year, but he had like a big ERA. And it always worries me when the Tampa Bay Rays, who we'll get to in a second, trades players because I feel they almost always win every trade. They like trade for these guys that no one's heard of, and they just turn them into superstars. So their front office is great with that. So I don't know who got the best of that, but obviously the Orioles needed pitching, and it gets to the point you don't want to just keep spending. Thought they might bring in Valdez, but maybe it was just too much money. He went to Detroit. But they did give up on Grayson Rodriguez, which I thought was interesting. I know he was their top prospect and he had been top pitching prospect. He'd been up and down, but they finally gave up on him, traded him to the Angels for Ward to get more pop in the outfield. So that's why I do like their hitting, because they have Pete that's going to hit over 30 home runs. Ward's going to hit over 30. Gunnar can hit over 30. So they have a lot of pop. But I was surprised they gave up on him because they do need pitching. But, that's why I'm sitting here talking to you guys and I'm not in the front office. But we'll see how that works. They did bring in Ryan Helsley to be the closer, who was an absolute disaster with the Mets. And people are like, oh, he was tipping his pitches and, oh, maybe he can't handle New York. He wasn't pitching that great for the Cardinals in the first half of the season. But they gave him a 2-year deal because they have Batista might be out for the year. And I read they're not going to rush him back. So he might come back towards the end. If they make the playoffs, he has a better chance, but they're not going to push him. So they needed a closer. They signed Helsley a 2-year deal. He has good stuff and he's proven to pitch well. See if he could bounce back. Cano will probably be the 8th inning pitcher because Batista's out. And also Jackson Holiday is hurt. So they got hit with some injuries where some other teams didn't, like the Red Sox. So the Blue Jays got blitzed with injuries right off the bat. I think I forgot to mention that Santander got hurt too. So they had Santander, Francis out for the year, and Bieber. But we'll see. I like the Orioles, but it's a tough division, man. It's super tough. It doesn't look too good for them. They might finish in third. Because this is what I feel. I feel one of the Yankees, Blue Jays, and Red Sox will regress. It's just like kind of the nature of the beast, but I could be wrong. Okay, and the final team in the East is the Rays. So their starting rotation is good if healthy. They have McClanahan, they have Rasmussen, they have Pepio, they have Matz, they have Seymour and Boyle. Obviously, McClanahan and Rasmussen are aces. They just get hurt all the time. Tampa always produces really good pitchers. Pepio had a good year last year. They got him in the trade for Glasnow. So if they're healthy on paper, their rotation is really good. And I would definitely say that the Orioles, if they're healthy, the Orioles have the worst rotation, followed by, so I would probably say, man, it's tough. Because of Cole and Rodon's injuries, I would say Red Sox is number one rotation. Yankees very close second, or 1A, 1B. Then I would say the Blue Jays. Then I would say I would probably say the Rays, if healthy, third. Then the Blue Jays, then the Orioles. But injuries is a big deal, and they get hurt all the time. So, and then their closer, I know they traded for Griffin Jacks last year, so he might be the closer. They lost their closer this year, but they always find bullpen arms, so I'm not really worried about that. And then their hitters are Fortes at catcher. They got Aranda at first, Lux at second base, Junior Caminero at third, Wells at shortstop, Chandler Simpson in left, Mullins in center, and Fraley in right, with Diaz at Yandy Diaz at designated hitter. Cedric Mullins, they signed him in free. I feel like they spent a little money this year. They signed some guys. So they signed Mullins. Which Mullins are you going to get? The Orioles Mullins, where he was an okay player. He came to the Mets and he was god awful. And but they signed him. I see him bouncing back because now there's no pressure. He's in Tampa. Just nothing too crazy. They also traded for Lux, and he's going to play second base. He was a big prospect with the Dodgers a couple of years ago, but he didn't really pan out with them, or he was on the Reds last year. But their team is revolved around Junior Caminero, who is an absolute superstar, and he had a monster year last year. And they always find these guys, these players. It's really crazy down there. If they could just sell the team and maybe get an owner that puts a little more money into it, they could get a World Series, man. But I know Tampa baseball is not too big there, so I think even if you had an owner, I don't think they would need a new stadium. I think they're back in their stadium this year. They were playing in minor league fields, but they don't have people going out to the park, so it's tough to spend money when you're not really making any. But the Rays are always sneaky. They're always in it. And then last year they had a down year, but they did have a lot of injuries. We'll see what happens with them. They'll at least fight tooth and nail against you. So that's pretty much it. Like I said earlier, I think the favorites, obviously Blue Jays are defending AL champs, but I also put the Yankees in there. And my opinion is the Yankees, even though they are kind of bringing back the same team, but that division is going to be a bloodbath. All the teams are great. They have great players. They're superstars like Pete Alonso and Junior Caminero and Aaron Judge and Vladimir Guerrero and the Red Sox. I guess Roman Anthony, they don't really have like a superstar hitter. They're more pitching bullpen. But maybe Anthony will take that step. So it's going to be fun to watch. I mean, I don't really watch too much. I mean, I'm kind of down on the Mets right now, and I'm not really looking forward to the season. So I don't watch as much out of my team baseball as I used to. I can't watch like whole games anymore if it's not the Mets. And even sometimes with the Mets, it's hard to watch it all. But baseball season is upon us. And I'm going to keep doing that. We have some more divisions to do. But next, we're going to take a break from that, and I'm going to do fantasy talk. So it's basically going to be fantasy for beginners. So if you guys are interested, tune in. And, don't forget to, if you have any questions you can email me. And my email, let me just make sure, obviously is DJK Sports, but it's DJKsports7259@gmail.com, DJKsports7259@gmail.com if you want to ask me any questions about fantasy. And Josie, looking forward to doing it. Yeah, me too. I actually am too, because I'm actually taking off this year from fantasy. We'll see. Maybe I'll play some stupid league or whatever, but I will miss it. I do love it. And I've been playing it for minus a couple of years here and there. I've played it since, I don't even remember, maybe the late 90s. So I'm looking forward to that and to give my wisdom and my little tips to how I won a lot, and even not just won a lot, I also made the playoffs a lot, and I've won 5 in this one league. My primary league, I've won 5 times, and I think the next closest person is 2. And I also made it, I think, to 2 or 3 finals and lost, and they were all close. I also played in another league back in the day when I used to work at this place for 5 years, and I played it, and I won it like 3 years in a row, and they actually like kicked me out because I kept winning. They weren't that good though, but some guys stopped paying attention. But I really love doing it. It's interesting. It's the problem is with the pro is I never did it. I should have went and did for like serious money. You know, I played in a league with friends, or I should say a friend, and most of the other people I didn't even know. But because over the years, people just, you don't stay with people. So when I started the league, it was all these friends and stuff like this, and they all, start to do their separate things and everything. But I never did. I did do some football for money with this guy I used to work with and stuff, but I never did the baseball, and I probably should have, but now's not the right time for that. But yes, I am looking forward to it. I want to thank you guys for stopping by. Appreciate it. Everyone go out and have an amazing week. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. See you next Monday.